Hello and welcome to the Africa presentation with Kaleidoscope Travel and Cruise. My name is Sahara. I am going to be your host today. Today I'm just going to be talking to you about an upcoming private trip with Kaleidoscope Travel to Kruger National Park, Cape Town, and Victoria Falls in Southern Africa. This is a wonderful trip that I look forward to telling you about, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit more about G Adventures. So this trip is operated by G Adventures. We are a small, local Canadian company. We run small group tours from all 7 continents, over 100 different countries, including the Southern Africa trip that I'm going to talk to you about. And we really like to get off the beaten path and really interact with the locals when you're traveling with G Adventures. And we stay at local hotels, use local transportation whenever possible, and local guides. This creates an atmosphere of sustainable travel, which we do love to promote by keeping as much money that is spent on the tour in the local destination. This is one of our favorite quotes at G Adventures. If you reject the food, ignore the customs, fear the religion, and avoid the people, you might better stay at home. So we really do love to do a little more immersive style of travel, so really interactive and really getting to the heart of a country when we are traveling. I'm going to show you a quick little video here that is a few testimonials of why our travelers travel with us.
I've traveled solo, I've traveled with other tour companies, I've traveled to resorts, that sort of thing, and G Adventures is nothing like any of those.
They like to keep this model of local food, local people, local prices, keeping the money in the country where you are, and I think that's great. Ethically, that's great, you know? It keeps countries true to what they believe in.
You get to experience the place, you get to experience the culture, you get to experience and learn more about the world that we live in.
You have a lot of freedom and flexibility, like if we wanted to kind of go off and do something, or we want to do something different, we can just do that.
I've got all of the inside context, and it just makes it such a richer experience that there's no way I could get this in a larger group, no way I could get it traveling alone.
Any other travel company would call them a tour guide, but they kind of enhance the experience here, so they call them CEOs, which I believe stands for Chief Experience Officer.
You're going to find someone that has that knowledge, has the passion, has the skills.
Booking accommodation, make sure we were completely comfortable. Any issues we had, he was on top of it.
You want to do that? Absolutely. Or you're wondering about that? Let's go do it. So it was kind of like traveling with a good buddy.
I ate a scorpion with one of the CEOs last night, and if he wasn't there, I wouldn't be inclined to do something like that, because at the end of the day, who really wants to eat a scorpion?
And with the Adventures, what I like is the flexibility. There's a schedule, but you're able to kind of stray away once in a while.
For example, you might have a free afternoon that you want to slot something in. Our CEO, with experience of her own country and a knowledge of her own country, has allowed us to do that really seamlessly.
Everything is laid out for you, so it's so efficient. The time that you have here is so well spent.
What would take you 4, 5, 6 days to even find out half this stuff, these guys know it because they do it day in, day out.
You have your own freedom as a traveller, and at the same time the comfort and the backup and the support of a group.
You just meet people that you may never have met from different parts of the world, different continents, and you have so much in common.
Whilst you're actually on this trip learning about the places that you want to be, you're meeting all these fantastic people that have all these other great experiences to tell you about.
I get 4 weeks of holiday a year, and to be able to go away for 10 days, I've done more in 10 days than I would have done in 6 weeks by myself, so hats off to them.
So with G Adventures, like I mentioned, we travel all over the world. We travel with international groups of people of all ages who want to do all different types of activities. And with Africa, there are so many different styles of travel. But first, I want to talk about getting to Africa first. So if you are considering joining our trip with Kaleidoscope Travel, you'll be flying internationally. And what we like to do, and what I've spoken to Anita about, is splitting up the trip so that you might consider a stop in Dubai for a couple of days on your way over. Flying the European route via a Middle Eastern hub really makes it the most common route and really gives you that broken up trip so that it doesn't feel as long as a day. You can speak more with Anita about that, as she will have details on different flight options for you. The trip we're talking about today departs in the end of October, and it's really important to note that she has picked a great time to travel. The seasons are reversed from us here in the Northern Hemisphere, so winter is from May to August in South Africa, and in the summer, which is November to March, the temperatures are nice and warm in the 20s and even close to the 30s during the day. It's very comfortable. There may be some rain, but it doesn't usually last very long. And then, of course, when you're heading up to Victoria Falls, the seasons are a little less dramatic because it is closer to the equator. So, great time of year to visit, great time of year to see some wildlife because it will be spring, summer, so the greenery will be out and maybe you'll even see a few baby animals. In terms of what you need for this trip, when you arrive in South Africa, you do receive a visa locally. However, do speak with Anita directly regarding visa information, which, of course, as long as you have your valid Canadian passport, valid for 6 months after your intended return date from this trip. We encourage you to pack lightly, but know that there are going to be some cool evenings. It gets down to around 10 to 15 degrees sometimes, especially out in the wildlife areas. So please pack some warm clothing and, of course, long sleeves when you're out on safari because we just want to protect you from the sun and from any insect bites. I encourage you also to bring US dollars, easier to exchange than Canadian dollars. Our ATM cards do work in most major centers in South Africa. However, having a variety of sources for your dollars is best when you are down there. Last but not least, please do speak to Anita directly regarding travel insurance, which is recommended and required on G Adventures trips to ensure not only medical coverage but also cancellation and interruption insurance. I did mention quickly what to pack. Like I said, it is a great opportunity to learn to pack a little lighter. We will be moving locations a couple of times, but you will have access to these beautiful lodge safaris where there will be porters available to help you with your luggage. Pack light clothing. It's going to be very warm, but those cool evenings do encourage a sweater and closed-toe shoes as well. So here's a couple of pictures of what our accommodation and transportation looks like. Depending on the location, we're looking at tented luxury lodges and safari vehicles that are built for the terrain. As you can see by one more picture here, they are very comfortable and it's something that you will truly enjoy, being out in the wilderness, yet very, very comfortable with your own private tent on this trip. So here's one more look at the itinerary before I go on here. I mentioned the trip departs Canada at the end of October, starting first in Cape Town. So let me tell you a little bit about Cape Town. Cape Town is a beautiful city, one of my most favorite cities, and also rated by the New York Times as 2004's best place in the world to visit. So I'm not the only one who has that opinion. It is located on the shore of South Africa, located right there with Table Mountain, you can see in the picture. It was first developed by Dutch East Indian Company as a supply station for Dutch ships sailing to East Africa, India, and the Far East. And now it's developed into this beautiful cosmopolitan city. You can go up Table Mountain in this great gondola experience, or you can walk if you do have the energy. The first day we arrive in Cape Town, you only have a meeting with our tour leader before you have an evening to have dinner. The next day we do a guided tour, including a visit to Cape Hope. Let me show you some pictures and maybe discuss a little more of what you can do here. This is an area called Bo Camp, the Malaysian area. It's so beautiful with their painted buildings. And what you'll also notice about Cape Town is all the greenery. So absolutely beautiful. Their gardens and the flowers. The beautiful city is really something to explore. From the waterfront complex to the aquarium to shops. You can see the different architecture. On day 2, our trip does go down to Cape of Good Hope. This is a beautiful point where you can even visit little fishing villages, areas where they surf. I'll show you some pictures here. It's the most southwestern point of the African continent, very exciting as well, and the scenery is absolutely beautiful. There's beautiful vistas, and my favorite thing to do is go visit the penguins at Boulder Beach. So if you've never seen penguins before, this was my first time seeing penguins when I visited, and it's a great opportunity just to see these characters wandering around the beach. On your third day, you have a free day with lots of options of things to do in Cape Town and in the area. From visiting Robben Island, where you can learn about the dark side of the South African history and learn about the Nelson Mandela history as well. This picture here is Stellenbosch wine region, where you can do some famous winery and vineyard touring. I mentioned Table Mountain before. You can also possibly get to visit an ostrich farm where you can experience the different red meat in South Africa. From here on day 4, we fly from Cape Town to Johannesburg. Once we arrive in Johannesburg, we spend the night there, where you'll have a traditional South African braai, which is known as a barbecue here in Canada, as a welcome evening before heading out towards Kruger National Park. It's a scenic drive along the panoramic route, lots of different stops including River Canyon and God's Window. It's a long drive, but it's so absolutely beautiful with majestic mountains, valleys, waterfalls, and multiple stops. When we arrive at Kruger National Park, you spend the night at a beautiful tented lodge, and then after breakfast we continue on and do some game drives. So what a lot of people look forward to when visiting South Africa. So from here, a couple of game drives where you can see lots of different animals, and this is the part of the presentation I enjoy the most, because the open vehicle game drives are so enjoyable. You can spot different this picture was taken by one of our tour leaders in South Africa, the lions in the tree, which is rare sighting. But there's also elephants and hippos, giraffes, zebras, and even cheetahs. So absolutely fantastic. Oh, I have another picture here of the zebras. So each day you have the opportunity to go out for morning or afternoon game drives, and even optional evening drives sometimes. Over the next 2 days, you have the opportunity to cover over 9,000 hectares of land where you can see so many different things. We use a variety of accommodation in this area as well, so that we couldn't necessarily let you know which lodge you're staying at, but they're all very beautiful and comfortable, high quality and perfect amenities. So here's a few more pictures here. In this area as well, and I don't have a picture unfortunately, you visit the Hope Africa Children's Day School. This day school is one of our Planetara projects. If you're familiar with G Adventures, we do have Planetara Projects, which is our non-for-profit organization located worldwide. These projects are another step in the sustainable travel revolution, where we are trying to really improve the life and environment on a long-term basis. So the South Africa Children's Day School is one of the ways we support South Africa by having our travelers really visit and understand the changes that we're creating just by going on the trip. This school provides education for over 60 children in the area that are under the age of 5. The parents of these children are mostly rangers and lodge staff of the Kruger area, and they provide them with resources to have access to safe childcare during the day so they can be employed in the tourism industry. There's also a preschool that provides 2 meals a day for each student. So it's really a beautiful experience to kind of see how just by having tourism in the area, the local children are benefiting. So like I said, each day is taken for the next 4 days that I discussed, doing safaris in your 4x4, keeping your eyes open. From here, we do another quick little flight up to Victoria Falls. This is another one of my favorite areas. Victoria Falls is located in Livingston. Livingston was named after David Livingstone, the Scottish missionary and explorer, who is the first European to, allegedly of course, view Victoria Falls in 1855. So, perfect finish to an absolutely fantastic trip. This trip in Livingston, where you stay for 2 days, you have the option of doing a number of different things. Of course, the waterfalls is the major highlight. While it is neither the highest or the widest waterfall in the world, it's classified as the largest waterfalls in the world at a width of 1,700 meters, and that's 5,600 feet, and a height of 108 meters. So it's the largest sheet of falling water in the world. It's roughly twice the height of Niagara Falls and twice the width of Horseshoe Falls, if you're familiar with other falls in the region. So you can see by this picture, it's absolutely beautiful region, beautiful sights to see. Depending on what you want to do in the area, you can do things like a helicopter ride, which I did. You take your camera up and just see the full depth and massiveness of this waterfall. If you're feeling a little more adventurous, you can raft the waters below. The Zambezi Class 3, 4, and 5 river is one of the best whitewater rafting in the world. And please, you may be thinking, oh, that is not for me. I wouldn't do it. When I did it back a few years ago, one of the travelers in our boat, a couple in their 60s were just ready to go. It was one of their dream trips, and they had a beautiful time. A beautiful, adventurous time, of course. I mentioned the helicopter ride. Here's a picture of our helicopter before taking off. You could also do the world-class bungee jumping. I did not do that. That is adrenaline pumping that I just didn't need. And of course, you can also take a more gentle boat cruise ride, a sunset cruise ride on the Zambezi River, and really take in that sunset. From Livingston, you have those 2 days to really enjoy anything you want and just take in the beautiful waterfalls. And that's where your trip ends, and that's where you would start your flight home. So on this trip, we have a lot of inclusions, and I love that Anita is putting this together. It's great to be traveling with people from your local area and enjoying this absolutely stunning trip. A lot of inclusions on this trip, a lot of meals included on this trip, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to really take it in. So the details of contacting Anita, if you have any other questions, are on this slide here. If you have any concerns or just want more pricing information, flight information, she is more than welcome to help you. Anita at Kaleidoscope Travel. And you can see the email address and phone number there regarding contacting her. This is a trip of a lifetime, like I mentioned. The most beautiful wildlife sightings and Cape Town and Kruger National Park, best highlights of Southern Africa. Thank you for joining me today. Please do consider South Africa for your next vacation with Kaleidoscope Travel and G Adventures.